My in-laws absolutely hate me, especially my mother-in-law. She says that I'm not good enough to marry her son, and it's all because I come from, well, a lower middle class income, and apparently they would never accept that into their family. So guys, here's what was the tipping point of me and my mother-in-law's relationship when I found out she did this to me.
Hello everyone, this is Harriet. I met my husband Nick in high school. Our relationship has always been rocky due to his family being elitist. In high school, my single mother and I usually did not do great. She grew up poor, and so did I. It was a known fact in school that I was not the rich person, but we made do anyways. My mother was hardworking, and I, too, began working on the side the day I turned 14. Nick went to the same high school as me. We were initially friends, even though I secretly had a crush on him. His family, however, did not like that he used to hang out with me. Nick and I were in the same friend group. It was clear that his parents liked everybody hanging around their house except for me. So we usually all used to hang out at other people's homes. We all went our separate ways when we went to college, however. I lost all contact with Nick by then, and we did not talk for 6 years. I came back home right after college and got a great job helping my mother around the house. We were soon not poor anymore, and it felt very good. I mean, I was proud when I could take care of my mom, who had always took great care of me. So, 2 years later, Nick returned as well. He reached out to me when he was back, and we started to hang out as old friends. We would get a drink after our workday or just hang out when one of our mutual friends was visiting. That's when Nick asked me out. I hadn't thought of him romantically for some time now, especially because I knew his family was rich. But I decided to give it a shot, and I fell head over heels for Nick again, like I did when we were young. I thought that now that my financial situation had improved, his family would be more welcoming, but oh boy, I was wrong. Nick's mom, Melanie, is just a miserable person to be around. When I first met her as Nick's girlfriend, she just would not let go of the fact that my family situation got better way too suddenly. I think she thought I did something illegal, but I can't be so sure with her. So, Nick's father, Charlie, and his sister, Clarissa, weren't too nice either. Now that I was an adult, I could easily see that this family did not like each other, and only tolerated one another. Melanie was a bully to everyone, pointing out their flaws. But Charlie and Clarissa were not that nice either. They would usually roll with whatever Melanie would say, and it took me a few years to realize that they did so to not become Melanie's target. Regardless, Nick and I rarely spent time with his family. He did not like them much either, and claimed to have only moved back because of his grandma's deteriorating health. He claimed that he's happy that he returned because that led him to me. Anyways, Melanie was not happy when he asked me to marry him. So, I overheard her talking to Nick one day about how I was not well suited for him to be in the family. And after all, I had come from poverty. Nick had taken my side, and that did make the wound hurt less. I could not believe that after all these years of dating her son, she still was not, well, over my background. Nick and I had a very minimalistic wedding. We did not want to invite too many people either, and wanted to keep it a small affair. That gave Melanie the material to torment me further. All through my wedding, she taunted me that I was too poor to even hold a decent wedding. Nick was fed up with her and told her off. He said she better stop it, but she didn't. Instead, she started whispering her taunts to me so that Nick would not overhear. She said that I ruined his son's special day by being too poor to pitch in half of the price for the wedding, which must be why we had to choose such a cheap wedding. Well, she did not like the venue, she did not like the decor, she even claimed that the food was average, and that this wedding could not even hold a candle to her daughter's wedding that actually matched their family's status. So, Nick and I were just exhausted by her constant negativity by the end of the day. We were just glad to be away from her by the end of it, and you see, Melanie is the type of person who leeches out the joy from your lives if you spend too much time with her, and I mean it. Well, And the perfect example of that is Charlie. The man is lackluster in every sense of the word, and I don't think I've ever seen him crack a smile at anything. Anyways, the real trouble began on our first wedding anniversary. You see, Nick and I were planning to go to an international trip to celebrate. However, as we were discussing it with the rest of the family, they totally hijacked it, thinking that we were inviting them over with us, and this was shocking because why would we want to celebrate our first wedding anniversary with the whole family? Well, anyways, either way, they expected us to take care of all the expenses, and Nick and I were honestly flabbergasted, much too flabbergasted to say no through the dinner, and we decided that we would just pay for their airplane tickets and hotel accommodations. We also delayed the trip, claiming that there weren't tickets available around our anniversary, so we could spend it alone with just the two of us. However, just a month ago, Nick and I decided to go on to another international trip with the family for the summer. At no point did we make it sound like we were the ones who would be paying for it, though. But that's what the family thought because we did so the last time. I wasn't ready to pay for everyone and asked Melanie, Charlie, Clarissa, and her husband Richard to pitch in for their share. That's when the real taunting began. Melanie claimed that I was still too poor to go on an international trip, and that I had to ask others to pitch in. I claimed that I was not going to pay for her and her family this time around. If they were so rich, why can't they just pay for themselves? They just ignored Nick and me and kept on laughing and laughing, claiming that we were so poor that we can't even afford to help family go. They just claimed that it was all right and nothing was wrong with being poor. Melanie even said that she always knew that we would one day come back to her begging for her help financially. Well, you know what? This made me mad, as we weren't in need of her financial help. We were just asking her to pay for her own expense. I mean, come on. We would never go to her if we ever needed financial help. She's way too condescending to ask for help. Nick had had enough by then and told them to pay for their trip themselves if they wanted to go. Otherwise, nobody was begging for their company. He stated that we would be just as happy or even happier even if we went on the trip by ourselves. Then he grabbed my arm and led me outside. Melanie has been getting on our nerves even more recently. She loves flaunting how rich her daughter's husband is, and you see, Nick and I are doing well financially, maybe not on the level of Melanie and Charlie, who both come from old money, but we live comfortably in a big house, way bigger than necessary. We have never needed more money than we have, and life is great. But Melanie's constant taunts do get to us, not because what she's saying is affecting us, but because she's a spoiled brat taking people for granted. Melanie, Charlie, Clarissa, and Richard have all agreed to pitch in, though. Not without Melanie taunting me that she can pay for my ticket if I'm too poor to do so myself. Well, I was almost tempted to give up this trip. However, I had a plan to teach Melanie a lesson. I just want to prove to her how much her family absolutely despises her because of her constant bullying. Anyways, guys, I do have a plan to execute it. I need all these people on vacation on international waters with me. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So I have a couple exciting updates, but before we hop into that, go ahead, subscribe to the channel if you have not had a second to do so. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Guys, it does help out the channel a lot, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Here is your first update. Update number 1. Hey guys, this is Harriet on this side. Nick and I are, along with his family, landing at our vacation destination a week ago. Our vacation is supposed to be 9 days long, and I made my plans a few days ago. Melanie was a menace all throughout the vacation. She would ask me in her annoying voice if she should buy me food because I clearly can't afford it, or if she should be the one to buy me the dress instead of me when we were window shopping. Even Clarissa, my sister-in-law, she starts teasing me, and Melanie would hype her up. It was annoying, but karma was waiting for Melanie and Clarissa and both of their husbands. Nick and I excused ourselves early one evening, while all of them were hanging out around the buffet one night. We claimed that he was sick and that it would be better if we just retired early for the night. Instead of retiring to our room, though, in the suite, we went to Nick's parents' room and stole their passports. We did the same for Clarissa and Richard, who had also jumped into the bandwagon and began making fun of us for absolutely no reason. Guys, we hid the passports in our room instead. We waited for a few days and nobody noticed that their missing passports were gone at all. But today, however, Nick and I were exploring alone when everything went down. Charlie called us and told us that apparently Melanie has been arrested because of speeding. Charlie explained that Melanie was going somewhere in a car on her own, and she's been stopped by the police for speeding, and when she could not produce her passport, she was arrested. This was not what Nick and I were anticipating would happen when we hid the passports at all. We had hoped that they would miss their flight and beg us just to tell them where we hid them. Then we would reveal where their passports were a few days later, and instead of Melanie actually going to jail, either way, neither of us cared much about how the events unfolded. Charlie, Clarissa, and Richard spent the whole day looking for Melanie's missing passports, but could not find it. Nick and I, too, pretended like we cared when we actually didn't. Melanie deserved to know what happened when you take your own family, well, with such disregard. All of this happened, but none of the family went to see Melanie. We had all somehow come to the same conclusion of our own, that we did not want to be linked to Melanie if she were in trouble and lost her passport. Which was the funniest part of all of it. It was evident how nobody wished to help her, how much everybody despised her, and now Melanie is going to finally realize that her behavior has made her own family absolutely hate her. Either way, this vacation is coming to an end in just 2 days, and Nick and I do not wish to stay here and help Melanie, who got herself in trouble by speeding, and from the looks of it, neither does anybody else. Update number 2. Hey guys, so Harriet again, this is just the next day, and interesting things have happened over the course of 24 hours. Melanie has requested the officers to talk to Charlie and the rest of the family, who would verify that she was not actually a criminal, but things did not turn out that way at all. She must be so confused in prison right now, it actually makes me giddy on the inside. You see, Charlie has been the one to receive the call from the police. He had claimed that he did not know my mother-in-law at all. He then told the rest of the family not to say anything to the police either, especially if we wished to go home safely. His actions would have been shocking if Melanie had not been the kind of person that she is. Nobody wanted to help Melanie by going out of their way because she never helped anyone else at all. Well, not even her own husband wanted to help her. They got to teach her a lesson of being loyal to your family instead of bullying them at every chance that you get. Then the police arrived at our hotel to ask us some questions. By then, we had all agreed that we wanted to get home without any trouble. We don't care what happens with Melanie, as long as we get to go home like we planned. Of course, they did not know that we weren't going home either. Only Nick and I were going to return in time, but hey, they didn't have to know it just yet. That revelation could wait. So, Charlie and Clarissa refused to admit that we knew Melanie in the first place to the police. We did not wish to get stuck here, and no one amongst us loves or even likes her enough to do that. Melanie's probably regretting making fun of me and Nick right now. I like that she's all alone there, not knowing why her family has not come to save her yet. She's probably scared because it's the last day of our vacation and yet no one has come to rescue her. This is going to teach her a lesson, that her actions have consequences, and she's made all of our lives a living hell, and now she's going to pay for it. It's going to dawn on her slowly that no one in the family's loyal to her, because she's a straight-up bully. It's also going to teach her that clearly money is not everything. She's always thought that she was better than me because she grew up with money and married a rich man. But what is the use of money when your own family hates you? I might have grown up poor, but I knew that my mother loved me and would have, left everything if something were to happen to me and vice versa. Money can't buy you love. She's going to learn this lesson the hard way. Update number 3. Hello everyone, this is Harriet again. Yesterday, Nick and I flew back home while my father-in-law, Charlie, sister-in-law, Clarissa, and her husband, Richie Rich, got stuck with the police. We were all on our way to the airport when the police caught up to us. They began asking Charlie questions and demanding that he shows them his passport. And lo and behold, he did not have it. He frantically began to search for a suitcase, but could not find the passport anywhere. Clarissa urged us to leave him behind, and we got on our way to the airport. I guess we're teaching Charlie a lesson to value his family more, too. Well, by mistake, of course. It was not intentional, but if the shoe fits. Anyways, when we got to the airport, Clarissa and Richard were unable to show their own passport. Because why? We stole them. They were at the airport, but their passports were under the cushion of the sofa in the common living room. Well, where we hid them away from all these despicable people. They frantically searched for their passports while Nick and I calmly made our way inside the airport. I did see Clarissa waving to try to get our attention, but we ignored her, and we turned off our phone, so they would not be able to get to us. I mean, you actually might just go and think that me and Nick are the bad guys here. But you have to remember that they were all ready to abandon Melanie in jail, so they would not have to stay back. And when Charlie was the one who could not produce his passport, Clarissa and Richard had willingly left him behind too. Nick and I have no love for these people, but clearly neither do these people have any love for themselves, and it's become evident from all of this here. Clarissa called me just a few hours after I turned my phone back on. She accused me of hiding their passport, and I didn't even try to hide the fact that it was indeed me who hid them. Well, she asked me what I needed, and she promised to give me money if I gave them their passports back. That's when I told her that the money was what got them in trouble the first time. They loved flaunting their money in my face just because I come from a humble household. Then they bullied me about money, even though it's a common decency to pay for your own expenses if somebody organizes the trip for you. Clarissa finally asked what I wanted, and she promised to do whatever it took if I just gave the passports back, and I reminded her, if she was so rich, why would she care that she had to live in that expensive hotel for a few more days? Then I cut the call and blocked all their numbers. Well, this has got to teach this family not to mess with me or Nick. But honestly, after this, we don't plan to keep in contact with them anyways. They have a god complex and aren't even fun to be around. We don't need them in our life. Nick and I are actually thinking about moving far, far away. My mother passed away a few years ago, and Nick doesn't have any family he loves here either. This was supposed to be a goodbye vacation before we moved. But, before Melanie and her minions made it all about money. Final update. Hey guys, it's Harriet here. It's been a month since my last update, and Nick's family has finally flown back home. So I thought I would tell you everything that happened. Nick and I blocked everyone's number, but Nick had not blocked his parents' home phone. I know about everything that happened because Melanie left him a long, angry voice message yesterday. Charlie, Clarissa, and Richard searched Nick and my hotel room for the passports and did not find them. They searched the room multiple times, actually, and they did not find the passports. They did, however, go back to get Melanie out of prison now that they had to stay anyways. So the police gave them trouble for days, but she was finally let out. She went on and on about how terrible it was in that cold jail cell, all because Nick's wife could not take a joke and wanted to play a prank on the family. Clearly, some people find it difficult to learn their lesson, but whatever, I'm over it. Anyways, they were trying to find ways to get out of the country to get back home for days until Richard accidentally stumbled upon the location that we hid the passports. He found the passports under the cushion of the living room couch, just where we hid them. We had thought that they would immediately check our, room from top to bottom, but they might not think about checking the living room. They flew back home as soon as they could find a flight, which was a few days ago. Melanie claimed on the phone that she had come over to our house to give me an earful for taking my prank too far multiple times, but the house was always empty. She asked where we were and if we were on another vacation already. They don't know that Nick and I have moved away in the month that they were away on vacation. Guys, we now have a house to ourselves. It's ours. And it's far away from his toxic family. It has a huge backyard and even more rooms than our previous house for when we decide to start up our family. Anyways, they don't matter to us anymore. I don't care if they learned their lesson or not, but I'm sure this has shown Melanie how insignificant she really is in her own family's hearts. because of the way that she treats people. So guys, thank you so much for listening to me. That's the rest of the updates, and it helped to know that someone else was hearing me out while the drama was unfolding.
Alright guys, so this was a dilemma in the comment section. A lot of people were just talking about how what OP did was horrible, and it could have resulted in a very serious situation, having all these people stranded in a foreign country without their passport. A lot of the commenters were saying they went too far. If they hate their family so much, then they should never have gone on a vacation with them in the first place. And as we know, towards the end of the story, they end up cutting the family off regardless, so why the heck did they even go out of their way to hide these passports? Why didn't they just cut them off? So that's an interesting point, and I want to know what you guys think about it. Do you think OP is considered the a-hole of the story for going out of their way to hide these passports? Guys, let me know, drop it down in the comment section down below. Thank you for joining me on today's video. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I narrate stories like this every day, so if you enjoy these type of stories, consider hitting that subscribe button, guys. Have a great day, I'll see you tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.